Matt Unruh with Gary Thomas, head football coach of the Dodge City Conchs, back after a week off from our interview show anyways. A couple tough weeks for the Conchs after straight losses on the road to Fort Scott and Butler. And Coach, let's talk about that 49-38 loss at Fort Scott to begin with.
Well, I mean, it was the perfect storm of upsets, to be honest. We, you're on the road in a place you've never been. We on a grass field and had rained the night before. We went into the game with our backup quarterback because our starting quarterback wasn't cleared to play, didn't practice the entire week. And then our backup quarterback gets hurt on the third series of the game.
Wow.
So we were playing the first half with a hurt backup quarterback. So in the second half, we put DeAndre into the game, and he did some things that gave us a chance to get back in the football game. We actually cut it down to 7 points at one point, but he hadn't practiced the entire week, so he made some mistakes that didn't help at times. But we ultimately what did us in is we had 7 turnovers. We haven't turned the ball over that many times in 4 games, let alone in 1 game. So we threw interceptions. We had 3 fumbles by guys that, for the most part, haven't fumbled all year. We just did not play well in any aspect of the game, and we made some mistakes on defense too, which gave them an opportunity to get out in front of us, which they shouldn't have. We were, the first drive of the game, we're lined up wrong on defense, and we give them a free touchdown, and then the next series, our quarterback reads the wrong side of the field and throws the ball to their guy for a pick six. So we're down 14-0 in the first 4 minutes of the game. But we answered, we came back and scored, ended up giving up another score, and we were down 21-7. We scored again, made it 21-14, and then we kicked a field goal right before the half to make it 21-17, so we cut it to 4 points. And then there 2 seconds left on the clock before the halftime, they throw a bomb in our corner that isn't paying attention, and we give up a free touchdown. So we cut it to 21-17, and we have the momentum, and then all of a sudden we're down 28-17. And so then in the second half, we just traded blows, and we scored some points and got ourselves back in the game. We had ultimately had too many turnovers to get ourselves back in the game. So it was definitely a learning experience for us on the attention to detail and how we prepare and kind of letting our guard down, which really is what happened, to lose to a team that's in, second to last place. But, and not that they weren't a capable football team, but without the mistakes that we make, we basically handed them that football game.
With your guys' mistakes, how did Fort Scott, did they bring their A game as well?
No, they were average. They did some things well in the running game. They're not they don't throw the ball. They don't try to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So the passes they completed, they had the one freebie that we gave them, and other than that, they didn't hurt us at all in the passing game. They rushed for close to 300 yards though, and we didn't have an answer for that. But ultimately, we put our defense in some bad field position a few times because of our turnovers, which gave them some short fields and some easier opportunities to score. So, ultimately, a lot of the undoing was on our offense, putting our defense in such bad positions. But our defense, they gave up a couple freebies that didn't help either. But it was a team effort losing, that's for sure. So,
you mentioned the 7 turnovers at Fort Scott. It seemed like turnovers weren't as much of an issue against Butler last week at home. I believe only 1 according to the box score. And
yeah, we had 1, but it was kind of a big one. We were going into score. We'd have been 2nd and 5 on the 10-yard line, going into score to cut it to a 7-point game in the first half, and that turnover didn't help at all. It didn't kill us, but again, from a momentum standpoint, going into the halftime when we had a chance to score and ended up kicking a field goal to go down by 14. We really could have been down by 7 had we not, let that opportunity get away from us. But yeah, we played really well on offense last week.
Yeah, very, very good game, and I heard from many guys from Butler that that's the most points that's been put up on Butler's defense in a long time. Just the defense couldn't get quite the number of stops that we needed, and special teams seemed to really hurt last week, Coach.
Really, the only thing that hurt us was our kickoff team. We had a couple instances where we gave them great field position for some short scoring drives. Our kickoff return team, they were average. They didn't do anything that was stellar, and they didn't do anything bad. Our punt team was outstanding. We were close to 43 yards a punt and gave up 0 return yards on the day. But yeah, the field goal PAT. We had the 2 blocks, and really the 1 block is the one that hurt us there at the end, because we had a chance to cut it to a 7-point game with 9 minutes to go, and we were had the momentum at that point in time.
Yep.
That block turned into a 10-point game, and then our defense gives up a 2-play drive for a touchdown. So we had it. We turned a 1-possession game into a 3-possession game in less than a minute, which is hard to do. But I was actually pleased with our special teams, other than the blocked extra point and a couple, maybe 2 or 3 of our kickoffs. We kicked off 6 or 7 times, so half the time we actually did really well, and we had Dylan kicking. I think he had 2 or 3 touchbacks. So those things are big as far as the field position game. Our punt team was outstanding. Our punt return team didn't hurt us at all. Their punter had hit a pretty good one that changed field position one time, but we marched down and scored anyway. So I was pleased with our special teams, other than the catastrophic. You're going to have good teams are going to make some plays on you, regardless of how well you prepare and how good you are. We just have to be able to limit how catastrophic those mistakes are, and that was what we didn't do. I think, in the entire game of special teams, we probably had 30 to 35 snaps of special teams on Saturday, and there's really only about 4 of them that I think we didn't play well on. Problem is that one of them cost us a significant amount of points, which ultimately changed the momentum of the football game there at the end.
Yeah, it just really felt like the momentum and kind of wind came out of the sails after that blocked PAT that was ran back for 2 points. And I think it was the prior PAT to that one. Almost looked like it was going to be the same thing, but I think it was blown dead. But what did your coaching staff say to your field goal kicking team after those 2 block kicks?
Well, it wasn't the team; it was one guy, and he chased the outside guy instead of chasing the inside guy, or blocked the outside guy instead of blocking the inside guy. And obviously, we pulled him aside and tried to make the correction. And the next time we went out there, he did it perfect. And then the next time we went out there again, he did the exact same thing he did the first time, and they blocked the kick. So, we corrected him. 3 different coaches corrected him. He went out and did it right, and then went out and did it wrong. I mean, there's at that point in time, when guys can't correct the mistakes that we're asking them to correct, we just got to get a new guy. Clearly, there, when you show us that you don't have the ability to be coachable, and you don't have the ability to adjust to the technique we need you to play, then we can't just keep getting kicks blocked. So we've got to try a new person and see if that guy can do a better job.
Well, that was about a 4-point swing right there on those 2 block kicks.
Yep.
Really could have kept you guys in the game later in the game as well.
Absolutely.
A game that was 53 to 36 in the end, really a closer game than the score indicated. And let's brag on the offense a little bit here, Coach. I'm not sure even on this time of possession numbers, but 40 minutes and 21 seconds for the Conks and only 19:39 for Butler. And that can also say a lot of big plays, which Butler did have. But some nice long sustained drives for the Conk offense this last week.
By far one of our best offensive games, literally since I've been coaching in 15 years. We've had some 600-yard days versus plenty of defenses, and I don't know that we've ever had that big of a day against that established of a defense. We physically dominated them from the opening drive till the end of the game. To be able to rush for 300 yards and throw for 300 yards on a Butler defense is unheard of. And to be able to throw with such a high percentage, and being 29 to 36 passing, but still, there's 2 drop balls in there and there's 2 blown reads in there where DeAndre should have had 4 more completions. To be thrown for close to 90% against Butler is unheard of. We came in with what we thought could be a sound game plan, and we shocked them a little bit. And had them, on the ropes a little. We just physically knocked them off the football up front. I don't think anyone that I've seen in the last 2 years physically dominated in the way that we did.
A lot of credit to the offensive line, I would think,
Yeah.
if they dominate that much offensively, both passing and rushing.
And our running backs ran hard, they came downhill, and that was our goal is, against a defense like Butler that can run. Last thing you want to do is try to get too complicated with your blocking schemes and go sideways because they're going to run you down eventually. There's just too many athletes on the football field to be able to sustain anything that goes sideways. So our goal is to take our chances coming right at them, downhill, fast and furious, and that's what we did. We didn't do as much of checking on the line of scrimmage as we've done in the past. We were more focused on getting our plays off faster, giving them less time to adjust to what we're doing. Normally we spend some time trying to adjust to what the defense is doing so we can get the perfect play call. This week we were looking for tempo rather than the perfect play call and dictate to them what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And I think that had some wear and tear on them as the game went on. I mean, they were tired early. And I think in some instances they just kind of quit on defense as well.
Well, when you have 40 minutes of time of possession, you got to be wearing down the defense as well. Rushing the football, you mentioned it, Coach. Kamani Gabriel, 127 yards. Mark Thompson, 106. A pair of 100-yard rushers, each of them getting a touchdown. DeAndre Ford with 2 rushing touchdowns. It seems like it's been more of a pass-happy offense this year, but man, the running game looked really good.
Yeah, we've had, of our 7 games that we've played, 4 of them we rushed for over 200 yards. So more than half of our football games we rushed for 200 yards. So those stats are kind of quietly hidden in there because we've had a couple games where we've thrown for almost 400 yards. But I mean, if you look at our statistics this year, I think we've had 4 games where we're over 500 yards of offense, and this one we were over 6. So we've been capable of doing a lot of things along the way, and this one we just kind of put it all together on offense a little bit better than we had in some other ones. We got rid of the turnovers, we got rid of some of the sloppy mistakes that we've done in the past, and if we can continue to play this brand of football on offense, we'll be tough to beat. We made it through the difficult stretch of our schedule, so we've got some winnable games here in the closing weeks here where we can still get back in the kind of the hunt a little bit for the conference race, maybe not the conference championship, but we were ultimately in the preseason we were picked to finish 3rd, and if we went out, and if Butler wins out and Hutch wins out and we win out, we'll finish 3rd in the conference, which is not a bad accomplishment to be 2nd and 3rd in your first 2 years in the Jayhawk Conference. So now there's a lot that has to go into us being able to pull that off, but it still is a reachable goal. And again, we let 2 games get away from us this year in the Ellsworth game and the Fort Scott game. Those were both winnable football games that we should have won, but we still have a chance to have a winning record and still finish in the top 3 in the conference, which would be a great goal to have, and possibly sneak in the back door of a bowl game at the end.
Yeah, and a season like this, you've got 5 losses already, going to the last third of the season, really. Sitting in 6th for you guys to win out and take 3rd, that's got to be a great accomplishment at this point in the season.
Well, the thing that, again, is hidden in the standings is the teams that are ahead of us haven't played the teams that beat us yet. Mm-hmm. So Garden City, who's maybe a game ahead of us, they haven't played Butler or Coffeyville yet. So they just played Hutch this weekend and got destroyed, and they played Iowa Western and got destroyed. So they've still got to play Butler and Coffeyville, which most likely will give them 2 more losses. So they'll fall back behind us. Highland is 5-2, but they haven't played Butler, Coffeyville, or Hutch yet, and they've got those 3 right in a row, and then us. So while they're 5-2, theoretically in the next 3 weeks they should be 5-5, and then we play them in the last game of the season. So that game will probably decide who has a chance to battle for 3rd place, assuming that we can knock off Coffeyville. So we're still right in the thick of the middle of the conference, and there's, like I said, where we're sitting right now is not indicative of where we really are, because the teams that are ahead of us haven't played those guys yet. So Butler and Coffeyville play this week, so that's going to statistically change the conference around a little bit. I would think that Butler would win that football game. However, hopefully we didn't just give Coffeyville the blueprint to go beat Butler in the passing game. I don't know that Coffeyville can duplicate what we did in the running game, but I think they can. I think they can duplicate it in the passing game. So the fact is, if we need, you have a hard time ever rooting for somebody else in the conference, but it would be beneficial for us for Butler to beat Coffeyville because Butler beat us. If we were to root for Coffeyville to beat Butler, then we couldn't finish in third place. We need them to lose that game so we can make up that half game on them. So we're Butler Grizzly fans this weekend, and we need Hutch to win out as well because we don't need anyone accidentally knocking them off and giving a game up on them. So for us to reach our goal, which is right now to finish in third and get a chance to backdoor our way into a bowl game, we need Hutch and Butler to win out. So.
Admiral Gary Thomas, head football coach of the Dodge City Conchs, and I heard on the interview on the radio on Saturday that you're going into the final third of your season. You kind of like to break it up into thirds into 3 separate seasons. What are you telling your boys for this last third, the tail end of the stretch of the regular season?
Well, what we try to do and what I explain to our guys is anytime you go into whether you're in business or no matter what you're doing, even if you're just teaching, you got to compartmentalize what you're doing and break it into manageable chunks. And instead of looking at 11-game schedule going, we got to do this, we got to do that, we got to do this. The way I looked at it as really we had 3 different seasons. We had the first 3 games, and we needed to win that season. We needed to come out of that with a winning record. And we did. We were 2-1 in that first 3 games and should have been 3-0, but we managed to let that slip away, but we still had a winning record. The next 4-game stretch, we had 3 of the top 5 teams in the country in the preseason rankings in a 4-week stretch. So I was hoping that we could be 2-2 during that stretch and at least break even, and we didn't. We managed to go 0-4, and that was a major setback and should have been 1-3 to be honest. But as we look at the back end of our schedule, our goal in the preseason, my goal was to, again, win. If we can win that third of our season, or what we're calling our third season, with a 3-1 record, we would be sitting in pretty good shape. But that was also assuming that we went 2-1 and 2-2 in the first 2, which we didn't do in the middle part. So a 3-1 record over our next 4 games would be good, and it'd be a strong finish for us moving into next year. But the way we finished in the middle of our schedule, we need now to try to go 4-0 in those last 4 games, and that's a difficult thing to do considering the competition we're playing. But Iowa Central is 100% a beatable football team. Air Force is 100% a beatable football team. And Coffeyville and Highland are playing well right now, but again, we're going to catch Coffeyville after they play Butler. We're going to catch Highland after playing the 3 teams that just beat us. They're going to get those 3 teams in a row, and it's going to wear you down a little bit, and they're going to be beat up by that time of the year. And so we're going to catch them hopefully not playing their best football either. So not that they're a better football team than us. I think that we would beat them in a straight-up football game, but any advantage that you can have, whether it be weather or whether it be home field advantage, or whether it be that they're just coming off a tough win or a tough loss, any advantage you can get, you're going to take. So I think the way it plays out, I think we legitimately have a chance to win the last 4, but we're not worried about the last 4 right now. We're worried about the next 1. And Iowa Central, I would be shocked if we didn't go up there and beat them up a little bit with what we just accomplished on offense. And they're going to move the ball a little bit, and obviously our defense is not playing well, but they also don't have the same athletes that Butler and Iowa Western and Hutch had running around the football field. They've got some good football players, and like I said, they're very well coached, so they'll move the football, but I just can't see them creating the big plays that some of the other teams have created against us, and I don't see them consistently stopping us because other people haven't been able to as well. So as long as we can we kind of got a little swagger about us now on offense, and I would be surprised if they can take that away from us in any way, shape, or form next week.
Do you think some of the success from offense, Coach, can transfer over to the defensive end to where it gets them a little more motivated?
I think a little bit. I think what we haven't done particularly well on offense, and some of it is what's happened on defense, but when you can get up on people, then you start playing with a little bit different energy. And we haven't managed to we've been up in football games. We were up on Butler, we were up on Hutch. We were winning some football games early. We were tied with Iowa Western after the first 2 drives. What we haven't been able to do is get a stop on defense and then get that second drive in and be up 2 scores and be able to kind of get the momentum and get the thing to snowball for us is the one thing we really haven't been able to do. We did it at Garden City and we did it at Independence a little bit, but we haven't been able to do it in any of the other games. And that those are the games that we did. We played with a little bit of confidence. Independence wasn't great. We just flat out scored, and they were scoring points and moving the football. But when we got up 2 and 3 scores on Garden City, our defense started to play a little more motivated, played a little bit better. Garden started pressing a little bit, which we haven't been able to get other teams to panic and press on offense. So we can create some forced turnovers, which is what some people have been able to do to us. They've been up 2 scores on us, which forces us to be a little more aggressive in the fourth quarter, and then we throw an errant pass, or they know we're throwing the ball so they can get a better pass rush on us, which then potentially forces the turnover. So we haven't been able to get in those scenarios. It's just one of those weird years. We just haven't had a lot of breaks. Last year we get a ball tipped and it goes to our guy and we pick 6 it, or a fumble and we get a defensive score. It seems like every time there's a tip ball, it just doesn't go to our guy. It falls incomplete, and every time we get a fumble, it bounces. The ball bounces a weird way where we can't scoop and score, and so we just got to fight through some of those things and put ourselves in positions to be successful. Because some people say better to be lucky than good, which at times, when people say that, it's because they're getting lucky. But the fact is, right now we're not very lucky, so we better be good.
Yeah.
So we're concentrating and focusing on trying to be a better football team, every single day, and trying to put a good product on the football field and be a better version of ourselves every chance we get.
Matt Under with Gary Thomas, as they said, once again to one of the Iowa schools, Coach. And we'll have the broadcast on 1550 AM, the Sports Hound. Damon Post on the call. Pregame at 11:30 with a noon kickoff this Saturday, the 18th. But Coach, first of all, how do you prep for the long trip? What's the travel plans there, and what's the strategy? What do your boys have to do to get the victory?
The trip's it's by far our longest one. It's almost double every other trip we've taken. So the strategy is we're going to do the same thing we always do in travel, but we're leaving at like 4 in the morning for this one, just so we can stop and practice and make sure we break the trip up so you're just not sitting on the bus for 11 straight hours. From a what do we have to do standpoint, we've got to get some stops on defense. It would be helpful if we could get a couple short fields. We have not been able to do that. Even the turnovers that we do force, even the last couple weeks we forced them down inside the 10-yard line, and we've still got to go 90 yards to score. We need a couple short fields either out of our defense or our special teams. Basically, our philosophy is always this on offense. We feel that if we can put together one drive per quarter, we should win every football game. So if we can score 28 points a game, we should win every game. Now that hasn't happened because our defense isn't holding people under 28. But our philosophy is if we can put one good drive per quarter together and then get one short field from our defense and one short field from our special teams, we should score 42 points. And you're tough to beat when you're scoring 42 points. And that's our philosophy going into this week is no different. We need to score one touchdown per quarter. We need to get a short field from our defense, and we need to get a short field from our special teams, and we won't lose the game. Regardless of what they do on offense, if we can just be sound on defense, not great, just sound, and sound on our special teams, and manage our mistakes so that they're not catastrophic ones that take away momentum or have a 14-point swing on the scoreboard. If we can manage to stay away from those things, and we can stay as close to that blueprint from scoring points as possible, will be difficult to beat in any game.
Coach, last third of the season, how's the health of your guys at this point, at least maybe compared to other teams down the stretch?
I don't know the other teams. I couldn't tell you who's healthy on any other team other than ours. But we're relatively healthy. We lost one of our starting defensive tackles for the season, and that hurt us. He was our best one, and we lost our backup quarterback for the season. So right now we're kind of going into battle with one quarterback and hoping that we can protect him and keep him healthy. So we've had to talk to him about managing how he plays the game too, to manage his health, because anything there, it doesn't have to be a major injury to lose your quarterback. It can be a sprained finger. It can be something as small as that affects your entire season. So we've got to manage what we do with the quarterback and how aggressive that we get in certain scenarios. So. But other than that, we're relatively healthy finally. We weren't very healthy at the beginning of the year. Wide receiver, we're starting to kind of hit our stride. We've got both our running backs that are kind of in the clear now, and they're running strong. And our offensive line, we've managed to stay very healthy there. So from a banged up standpoint, we're not very banged up for as physical as games as we've been in here over the last couple of weeks. We've just really had two big injuries that they don't kill us. We're still okay at defensive tackle. Where it hurts us is from a depth standpoint, being able to get fresh bodies in there, so they're having to take more snaps and they get a little winded at times. But the biggest thing for us is we're gambling at the quarterback position, that we don't end up with a major injury there that could cost us the next few games, because we're literally going to abort our pass game if we get into that situation, and literally going to have to stick to the run game with a wide receiver or somebody playing quarterback. So that is the challenge of it. But we're as healthy as I think anybody else is, and that shouldn't dictate, unless something unique happens that changes the course of events over the next couple of weeks. But if we can stay right where we're at health-wise and not lose anybody else, like I said, I feel confident that we should have a chance to win all the football games that are left on our schedule.
I'm looking ahead again. Iowa Central at noon this Saturday, the 18th, and then a pair of home games back-to-back on the 25th. Air Force Prep comes to town, 1 o'clock kickoff there, and then a big game versus third place Coffeyville at home on the 1st of November. Man, it's interesting seeing this regular season schedule go into November, and then the road game against Highland, who's in 4th right now, and hopefully the Conks boys can win out 4-0, and again, support your Conks. Those 2 home games again on the 25th and the 1st against Air Force Prep Coffeyville this Saturday on the 18th. Iowa Central at Iowa, Fort Dodge, Iowa at noon kickoff. Pre-game at 11:30 on 1550 AM. The Sports Hound, Damon Post on the call. If you're out in the listening area, Conksports.com as well. For Gary Thomas, I'm Matt Unruh. Thanks again, and go Conks.